The weaker your muscles are, the more your joints will have to take the brunt of the movement that you do every day, whether that's just walking up steps or, doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or doing sumo deadlifts in the gym. So don't get to that point, folks. Learn from my mistake here and definitely focus. Always play the long game and do what's good for you long term. If you have the goal, to be 65, 75, maybe even 85, still doing the things that you love to do in your life.
Are you a busy professional who's crushing it in your career or in growing your business, but you're struggling to lose weight and transform your body while fitting in your social life as well as your work obligations? If the answer is yes, well, let me help you get into the best shape of your life while thriving in your business. Go to legendarylifepodcast.com/apply and schedule a 15-minute strategy call with me today. Welcome to the Legendary Life Podcast, where it's all about taking control of your health, losing fat, transforming your body, and living the life you deserve with celebrity fitness trainer and longevity enthusiast, Ted Rice. How do you know when to stop your workout when you're feeling a mild injury versus getting in the work when the pain is tolerable, finishing your workout when the pain is tolerable? That is the question we're going to answer today on this episode of Ask Ted. So what is up, my friend? Welcome back to the Legendary Life Podcast. I'm your host, Ted Rice, coach to entrepreneurs, executives, and other high-performing professionals. So let's dive right into the question. This comes from Arkham Fantasy, is the handle name on Twitter. I have a mild sprain on my right glute after doing sumo. So I don't know if it's a sumo squat or a sumo deadlift, but after doing sumo. I assume it's not sumo wrestling. Although it could be. Could strain your glute like that for sure. Sorry. I was still able to get through the rest of the workout despite feeling it. How do you know when to shut it down versus getting in work when the pain is tolerable? So I don't know about you, but we all get faced with this. If we're in the gym pushing, we're going to be faced with a mild injury, and we're going to have to ask ourselves, okay, should I stop or should I push through? And what I want to tell you is I've had a habit of pushing through in the past, and now I don't do that. I'll tell you one thing that happened to me. As many of you know, I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm kind of on a bit of a break at the moment, but I have my brown belt. I spent many years practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I taught Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years, the basic Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years. And I also competed. Now, I was never world champion, but I was a state champion, and I won more tournaments than I've lost, won more matches than I've lost, probably competed maybe around 20-ish times. And I remember one day when I was a purple belt, that's when I was quite serious, and I was in class rolling, which is the word Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners use for sparring. I was sparring with a blue belt, and the guy was pretty good. I was way better, of course, but he actually caught me with something called a knee bar, which is a joint lock directed at your knee. And the goal is to hyperextend the knee to get someone to tap out, or you hyperextend their knee. That's what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is about, folks. That and choking people. So much fun. Anyway, so this guy got me. And what's worse is knee bar, that's one of my go-to moves. It was my freaking move, and this guy got me with my move. Can you hear the ego talking already? And so he caught me with my move. And here's the thing. I was really good at not just doing knee bars, but getting out of them. And he got me good, but I knew I could get out of it. I'm like, this guy isn't good enough to tap me. And so what happened? Well, I escaped. And I didn't tap, and I beat him. Except I'm the one who lost, because although I didn't tap and I won that match, I didn't even get a medal for it. It was just training in the gym. It was just a workout. In other words, I would go on to have problems with that knee for I have problems with it today. And this happened I was 28, 29. So over 15 years ago, 16 years ago, right? And not only did I not tap and suffer some injury to my knee, it might have been okay. But what I did next was especially not smart. So I got back into the gym and I went back to my workouts. I don't know. I took a couple days off, but I went back to my workouts. And in my defense, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any experts telling me. There was no Legendary Life podcast at the time or YouTube videos telling you like, oh, hey, this is, you don't Google how to fix your knee injury and have like a billion YouTube videos come up or a bunch of podcasts. There wasn't the level of information available now, even though a lot of the information now isn't that great. But still, at least it can give you a path to follow. And I didn't know any better. So what I did was I jumped back into my workout, and I still remember this. I was doing lunges and I was using 60 or 70 pound dumbbells with the lunges because that's what I had worked up to. And of course, like I felt like, well, I hurt my knee, but it seems to be better. And certainly I want to keep getting stronger in my workout. So I'm just going to jump back into my leg workout and lift the same amount of weight, right? Because I don't want to get weaker, right? Except I remember feeling my knee and it wasn't terrible. I didn't, have to drop the weights and fall down in pain or anything like that. But I felt my knee and I was like, man, that was not smart. And again, I feel my knees today. Now they're actually quite good these days, but I have to be very careful because they can easily feel bad if I overdo it. The tissue tolerance of my knees is not that strong anymore. I don't do impact exercises. I don't do jumping exercises. I got to be really careful because it'll just hurt my knee. And I have to be careful on, lifting weights and a bunch of other things, all because I didn't tap to that knee bar and I went back to exercising and training it right away with the same exercises and with the same weight. And I worked through the pain. So now that I've shared that story and, of my idiocy of my 20s, now I want to tell you what I would do in that situation if I was in it again, or in this situation if I strained or sprained my glute. So first thing I'd say is this: I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to try to help you. And here's what I do now. I stop my workout if I feel pain, and I stop it right away. I don't finish the set because now I know. So this is number one. You stop your workout, or at least stop the exercise. You don't have to stop your workout if it's like, well, I hurt my glute, but I'm going to do some shoulder exercises. You can keep going with your shoulder. You don't have to. In fact, that's a really good lesson. I used to do that too. And now and eventually I learned, okay, well, I can still work my upper body. I can still work around my knee. I could still work, in this case, around the hip injury. There's nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, that's a great thing to do, because the last thing you want to do is to stop exercising completely. So number one is to stop. Whenever you feel a strain, sprain, whatever, you stop doing that exercise and you avoid any exercises that cause pain. Because what is the pain? It's a message to your brain from that area saying there's some inflammation, there's a problem. And if you're experiencing more pain or continued pain, that means that you're continuing to cause inflammation. So stop. Never work through it. If your goal is long-term health, if it's just to get in shape, and of course, this is like a rhetorical thing to say, if it's just to get in shape for 12 weeks to look good for next summer, then destroy your body, right? But that's not, I think 99.9% of people, what they want is they want to get in great shape and stay in great shape. And injuries make it harder to do that. Oh man, the strategies I have to use now, the complicated warm-ups and exercises that I've had to learn over the years, don't do that to yourself, because you will have to hire someone like me. Because even physical therapists, a lot of physical therapists aren't that great. They can get you out of acute pain, but then if you're talking about what do you do for the long term, what works for that, you're going to have to find someone like me. So stop when you feel it. Number two, is see a professional. Notice that the person said, I have a mild sprain on my right glute. So the glute is a muscle and a sprain is an injury to a ligament. So right then and there's obviously a glaring lack of knowledge. That's okay because you're not supposed to be a doctor. And even doctors don't know about, even doctors like liver specialists aren't going to know, may not know all the differences here when it comes to orthopedic injuries. It's okay. But see a professional, see a doctor or a physical therapist, because a sprain is an injury to a ligament caused by the tearing of the fibers of that ligament. But a sprain is an injury to a muscle or tendon. So sprain and strain. And it's important to know the difference, because if you do have ligaments in your hip on the head of your not your humerus, your femur, you have ligaments in there, but you also have muscles and tendons, and the tendons attach muscle to bone, ligaments attach bone to bone. Okay, don't need to memorize this, but if this is making your eyes glaze over, time to see a medical doctor about it, or a physical therapist, because it kind of change. I don't know what the laws are now. Personally, I tend to go to a physical therapist unless I need, and actually the last physical therapist that I saw referred me to a solid orthopedic surgeon to get some imaging done. So a good physical therapist or good orthopedic doctor will have someone to refer you to either way, right? Because imaging and so diagnosis using imaging is really important, but also like, where do you go from there now that you have an idea of what the problem is? So stop your workout, see a professional. Number 3 is focus on recovery. Follow the physical therapist's plan for treatment. Make sure that you re-examine your workout and motivation for working out. Learn the lesson so you don't repeat this again. And of course, stay away from exercises or workouts that cause pain or inflammation to increase in that area. All right. So now we have stop your workout, see a professional, focus on recovery, and then we have focus on lifestyle to speed up healing. So one thing that's really important that I learned much later on, unfortunately, is I thought that injuries just healed on their own and it didn't matter what you did so much. As an example, in my 20s, actually in those days, I wasn't going out so much, but I was smoking a lot of weed. I did drink alcohol quite a bit. I didn't sleep well, but those things affect healing. So here's what I would tell you now. Make sure you're sleeping at least 7 hours per night. Lose excess fat. Excess fat in particular, visceral fat in particular, is not just stored energy on your body for the famine that'll never come. It also is metabolic. In other words, it releases inflammatory chemicals that increase the level of inflammation in your body. So losing excess fat will help you heal. This is my experience, but there's also some data, not specifically with will losing fat help with healing a ligament sprain or muscle strain. So I don't know if there's any research like that, maybe not, but I don't even care. To be honest, it's like, we know that this is important, right? And it's something you should do anyway. So lose excess fat. And then the 5th thing would be to take supplements that help with inflammation and recovery. As an example, take omega-3 fatty acids. We know that we used to think back in the day that having an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, we thought that ratio was really important. And now what we know is this. It's not so much about the omega-6 fatty acids, how much of them you eat, how much of them you don't, irrespective of the calories. I mean, obviously the calories matter, but what really matters is getting enough omega-3 fatty acids. So the American Heart Association recommends that adults take between 500 to 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s per day. I would also take 20 grams of collagen peptides. I take 20 grams of collagen peptides every single day. I take it before my workouts. I take it every day. On the days I work out, I try to take it about an hour before a workout because there's some research showing that if you take the collagen right before you do an activity that targets an area that is injured, like cartilage, bone, ligament, tendon, the collagen can help. It can help get collagen to that area. That's research comes from Keith Barr, brilliant scientist, and actually someone I really want to get back on the podcast. And the last thing I put is take 5 grams of creatine per day. Creatine is just, it helps with sleep loss. It helps with cognition. I believe it helps with injury recovery. I think there may even be some research on it. Not really sure because it's just one of those things. Like it's just so obvious. It's not always nice to have research, but I don't need research to inform every single decision I make. So creatine has enough research on it to show that you should be taking it anyway. I personally feel it helps me recover from injuries faster. So just to recap here, number 1 is stop your workout whenever you feel some type of injury, if long-term health is your goal. Number 2, seek an orthopedic physician or physical therapist for an evaluation. And I would even add in, if it's something that's kind of chronically bothering you, after you've been treated by a physical therapist, then find someone like me who can help you, or a physical therapist that also has a strength and conditioning background. That's really important because what physical therapists, just a really quick tangent, but what physical therapists usually fail to do is to get you, they'll get you out of pain, but then it's like, well, okay, I'm out of pain, but then I tried to go do the thing. I tried to do a sumo deadlift again and it hurt. So they can get you out of pain, but they can't get you back to where you want to be, building that tissue tolerance so that you can go back to what you want to do. So you'll need an expert that can help you do that. That's me, by the way, folks. But it's also other people can help as well. It's not just me. And so the third thing is focus on your lifestyle to speed up healing. So sleeping 7 hours per night, losing excess fat. And the last one is taking supplements that help with recovery. So taking at least 500 to 1,000 milligrams of omega fatty acids every day. That's what the American Heart Association recommends for adults. Taking 20 grams of collagen peptides. I use Vital Proteins collagen peptides, and take 5 grams of creatine every day. And just as long as it says German micronized creatine or Creapure on the label, it doesn't matter what brand of creatine you take. It's all the same stuff. Just look for German micronized creatine or Creapure, the brand name Creapure. So you might buy someone's, like, let's say Get Huge brand supplements. But if you read about what's in the Get Huge, supplement, creatine monohydrate supplement, you'll see it says Creapure on it, or it says German micronized creatine on it. That's what you want to get. And that's what I would say, folks. But definitely don't make the mistakes that I did, because what starts off as a minor injury can turn into a chronic injury that, for example, I don't do deadlifts and squats anymore because of the injuries that I don't do them in the same way that you might do them, because I've had to adjust my workouts to make sure I don't cause further damage. And let me tell you, it gets quite technical and it's annoying. Okay. It's annoying. And the alternative, though, is for me I actually hurt worse when I don't exercise. So I start to feel the injuries start to ache again, which is normal, right? The weaker your muscles are, the more your joints will have to take the brunt of the movement that you do every day, whether that's just walking up steps or, doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu or doing sumo deadlifts in the gym. So don't get to that point, folks. Learn from my mistake here and definitely focus. Always play the long game and do what's good for you long term. If you have the goal rather, to be 65, 75, maybe even 85, still doing the things that you love to do in your life. So that's it for me. Hope this helps, and have a great weekend. Speak to you on Monday.
Are you a busy professional who's crushing it in your career or in growing your business, but you're struggling to lose weight and transform your body while fitting in your social life as well as your work obligations? If the answer is yes, well, let me help you get into the best shape of your life while thriving in your business. Go to legendarylifepodcast.com/apply and schedule a 15-minute strategy call with me today.
And on Monday, I have another special episode for you. It's going to be an interview with my client, Lisa. Now, Lisa's been in my coaching program for 7.5 months now. And you're going to hear how she's lost over 20 pounds in that time, put on muscle, but more importantly, some of the shifts that happened to her personally and in her life that came as a result of focusing on her health. And she shares some things that I was super surprised about. Some of the things that shifted for her, some of the breakthroughs that she had. And also I asked her, what were the hardest parts of the program? What was the hardest part of transforming your body and making this into something sustainable? So if you want to hear her story, because it's one of the most requested questions I get from listeners, I want to hear how someone transformed their body, what they went through, the ups, the downs, and how they got to the other side. If that's something you're interested in, tune in on Monday. Have an amazing weekend and speak to you then.